Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to make this very nice top-down toddler cardigan sweater. It's knit from top down with the raglan increases by the sleeves. So you start off on top and then you make the yoke going down, you leave off the sleeves, continue on the body, and later you finish up the sleeves. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by casting on 120 stitches with the first color. I like to use the long tail cast on method, but you can use whichever works for you. And if you're doing long tail, make sure that you're leaving a long enough tail so you shouldn't get stuck. That's already 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once all your stitches are cast on, now we're going to make 6 rows of ribbing, knit 2, purl 2. So we're going to begin with 2 knit, 1 and 2, and now purl 2. 1 and 2, knit 2, 1 and 2, and purl 2. So we do that all the way down the row. Once you reach the end of the row, simply turn around, and now you're going to knit the knits and purl the purls to create the ribbing. Once we've finished 6 rows of ribbing, and now we're going to move to the second color. For me it's brown, and all the rows in the second color are going to be garter stitch, so only knitting. We're not going to cut off the green because afterwards we're going to come back to it. So we just begin knitting with the second color. For me it's brown, and I'm going to be doing 20 stitches, which will be half of the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 20. And now I'm going to place my first stitch marker over here. Now I'm going to do another 20 stitches, which is going to be for the sleeve. 1, 2, 3. 19, 20, and now place the second stitch marker. Now is the back, so it's going to be 40 stitches altogether. And 40. Now place the next stitch marker. Now another 20 stitches for the second sleeve. And place the last stitch marker over here. Now there's only left another 20 stitches for the second half of the front. So now the first row in the second color is done. Now we can see that in the other side, you can see these little studs of the purl side, so we don't want that to be on the outside. So now we're going to do one more row, just knitting all the way back, but replacing the stitch markers in their place. And since the second color we're doing only in garter, so there's no purling, just regular knit all the way. Make sure to replace the marker in their place. If you would like, you can place the markers on this row or the first row, whichever you prefer. Okay, now that we've finished 2 rows of just knitting all the way back and forth, now we can begin increasing. So we're going to begin the row, again just knitting, since we're doing garter stitch in the brown color, or whichever color you're using as your second color. We're going to knit up until the stitch right before the stitch marker. Now we are going to make a right leaning increase. So picking up this little piece that's in between these 2 stitches over here, picking up from the front and placing it this way on the needle. There we go. So that the shorter piece is in front and the longer piece in back. Now we're going to go into the front. It could be a bit tricky to get into it. There we go. We're going to knit that stitch. And that's our first right leaning increase. Now we knit the last stitch before the marker, move the marker over, and now we're going to knit 1 and make a left leaning increase. So again, picking up this piece in middle, placing it this time this way with the longer part in front and the shorter part in back. And we're going to go into the back of it. Again, it's a little tricky. There we go. Make a knit stitch And here we've made a left leaning increase. And this is what we're going to do next to every stitch marker. So stopping by the stitch right before the marker, we make a right leaning increase, do the last stitch, transfer the marker, do one stitch, and make a left leaning increase. Once we finished our first increase row, now we're going to make another row of just knitting all the way back. We're still in garter stitch, so there's no purling, just knitting. And every increase row is going to be on the front side, and on the back side is going to be just a knit row. And now we're going to do another row of just knit, and this is going to be the last row in the brown color, so in the secondary color. So far we have done 6 rows all together with the secondary color. For me it's brown, and now we're going to switch back to the first color, which I'm using green. So here we have the green still attached from the beginning. What we're going to do is we're going to bring it under the second color like this. Make sure not to pull too tightly so it shouldn't cinch this up. And now we're going to begin a knit row with increases, because this is now an increase row since we see we're on the right side of the sweater. After making the first stitch, make sure again that it's nice and loose and it shouldn't be too tight. So you have here a piece of the yarn that we use to pull it up. And now just continue making knit stitches. And doing the increases before the markers. Once the knit row with all the increases is done, now we are going to make our first purl row. So with the brown color we made garter stitch, which is just knitting back and forth, and with the green color we're going to make stockinette stitch, which is 1 row knit and 1 row purl. And now we'll continue making knit and purl rows, making increases on the knit rows and purl just purling around. Altogether 6 rows with the green or first color. Here I've finished 6 rows with the green. We can count the rows. Over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th is the one that's on the needles now. So now we'll switch back to the second color. For me, it's brown, and we're going to do 6 rows in garter. Make sure to take it from under. And again, making increases on the front, so in this side, and no increases on this side. We'll continue doing these groups of 6 rows, 6 in the second color garter stitch, 6 in the first color in stockinette stitch, increases by the knit side until the yoke will be big enough to separate for the sleeves. After we've increased enough for the armholes, we're going to separate for the body, which will be in video part 2.